So this fourth example is very similar to the third example, however we introduced some friction. So the car's on a ramp with a coefficient of friction of 0.1, still angled at 10 degrees, still has a radius of 25 meters for that turn, and we want to know what's the fastest we can go. So fastest right here implies we're looking for a velocity, and the reason we say fastest versus slowest is because we need to figure out which way the friction is going. So we'll start by drawing our free body diagram. I'm going to draw it nice and big because here it's really important that we get the components drawn in. And so we will draw our car right here. And we have our normal force coming out here. And we are going to draw in the components right here. So we have the vertical component for normal and the horizontal component. We know theta is 10 degrees. I'm just going to label it as theta. And we've got theta up over here. We also have the gravitational force going straight down. And now friction. We want the fastest we can go. So in the introduction, we looked at what happens as we approach infinity for speed or velocity. And we said, well, the car or object is going to climb that ramp. So in this case here, if the object were to start climbing, friction would go in the opposite direction. So friction would go down right here. So we have that going down the ramp. We'll draw in our components. So we've got frictional force, we've got the horizontal component, and then we have the vertical component. In this case here, if I look at my vertical line is perpendicular to my horizontal line, so Fn is perpendicular to Ff, which means if Fn has rotated theta degrees from the vertical, then Ff has rotated theta degrees from the horizontal. So that is going to be our theta for the frictional force. All right, so we are going to now set up our T-chart. We've got vertical and horizontal, starting with the vertical balance. F net is equal to the vertical component of the normal force plus the vertical component of the frictional force plus the gravitational force. We don't want any movement vertically, and so 0 then is equal to the vertical component will be Fn cosine of theta. In this case here, let's just add our positive directions are going to be up and to the right based on the way I've drawn this. So that means that the vertical component for friction is going down, so it's going to be negative, and it's going to be opposite to that angle, so it's going to be sine. So we have minus Ff sine of theta and then minus mg. Before we go any further, we're just going to recall that the frictional force is equal to mu Fn. So we're actually going to substitute that in right now. And so our next step, we're going to say 0 is equal to Fn cosine theta minus mu Fn sine theta minus mg. So we are going to rearrange this for Fn. So the first thing would be to collect the like terms, factor out the Fn. So we've got Fn times the cosine of theta minus mu sine theta. And we are subtracting that mg. So rearranging, bringing the Fn over to the left-hand side, we get negative Fn times cosine of theta minus mu sine theta is equal to negative mg. Negatives cancel out. And isolating Fn, we get mg over cosine theta minus mu sine theta. So it looks just a tiny bit more complicated than the proof that we've practiced a number of times now. But don't be scared. It's just an extra term. It's going to tag along. And we'll see it works itself out very nicely. So now we're going to go over to the horizontal side, and our balance here is F net is equal to the horizontal component of the normal force plus the horizontal component of the frictional force this time. In this case here, we have the centripetal acceleration, so this is mass times the centripetal acceleration, and we'll go ahead and work out the horizontal components for normal and friction. So we get Fn sine theta, and the frictional force is actually positive in this case because it's going to the right. So we get plus Ff, and it's going to be cosine of theta. So we're just going to, we're not going to substitute in for the centripetal acceleration at this point. We'll just keep that as MAC for now as we work with the right-hand side. So MAC is equal to, what we're going to do is do that same substitution for the frictional force. So we get Fn sine theta plus mu Fn cosine of theta. And we're going to go ahead and factor out the normal force. So we get MAC is equal to Fn times the sine of theta plus mu cosine of theta. So now at this point here, again, we're going to keep that left-hand side as it is. We get MAC is equal to, we're going to substitute in our formula for the normal force, which we arrived at in the vertical column. So Fn is equal to mg over cosine theta minus mu sine theta times sine theta plus mu cosine theta. At this point here, we can cross out the masses and we can go ahead and choose our centripetal acceleration formula we're going to use. So in the question, we are given the radius here and we're asked to find a velocity. And so we are going to use the v squared over r. So we get v squared over r is equal to, so cleaned up on the right-hand side, this is going to be g times the sine of theta plus mu cosine theta divided by cosine theta minus mu sine theta. So if I rearrange for velocity, I get velocity is equal to the square root of radius times gravitational acceleration times sine theta plus mu cosine of theta. Let's clean that up there. And that's all going to be divided by the cosine of theta minus mu sine theta. So you're going to go ahead and plug in the values that were given in the question, and you're going to plug that all into your calculator, and you should come up with 8.31 meters per second. So introducing friction, this is the fastest that we can go. So now there's a range.